Hey everybody, Eric here. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're going okay. Let's talk about Final Fantasy XVI. There's been a great info dump of Final Fantasy XVI related stuff, of course. The release is imminent and we're getting a ton of info here over the last 24 hours. And I just wanted to discuss what my hopes and dreams and expectations are for probably the most hotly anticipated JRPG of the year. So let's unpack some of the expectations, and should we temper the expectations as well? Let's discuss. After playing Final Fantasy XV at launch and then more recently on my Steam Deck, I've realized that Final Fantasy XVI needs to have a really comprehensive story. Thankfully, it seems like they're moving in a different direction, not only stylistically, but also in terms of storytelling as well. As you know, 15 was kind of a bare bones game, at least at launch. DLC came out later. And I just really didn't feel compelled to grab the DLC almost like 2, 3, 4 years after the initial release. I don't mind a game on a bigger, more monolithic scale. Final Fantasy XV tried that, but it just didn't land very well. So I'm hoping that because of the semi-open world reports that I'm hearing now from the most recent info dump, I hope that the devs are able to really encapsulate the world that we explore and maximize it, rather than, an experience that was essentially over before I knew it with Final Fantasy XV. Now, we know Final Fantasy is the classic turn-based JRPG game. It's the genre-defining battle system, and over the years, they've changed from that formula, starting with like 12 and above. Some fans haven't really liked it. I mean, there are some traditionalists that would prefer, like the Final Fantasy VII Remake, that they have these really lifelike, action-packed cutscenes, and then everybody gets in a line opposing each other, just takes turns hitting on each other. It just doesn't make sense. So from seeing some of the gameplay and some of the articles that I've read online, it's really similar to Devil May Cry. I suppose it makes sense because it's going to be a more fast, action-packed battle system that's going to grab people that aren't necessarily Final Fantasy fans. I dare say we'll probably find people that are more action game fans coming over and playing this game purely based on what they're seeing gameplay-wise and battle system-wise. Me personally, all I want out of the battle system is for it to be semi-deep and approachable, kind of user-friendly. For example, Kingdom Hearts pioneered what we kind of knew with Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy XV battle system. It's very action-based. You had your certain commands and stuff for magic attacks and normal attacks. So I'm hoping that they can find a really great balance of action-based intensiveness with that traditional JRPG thing. I don't think one game has necessarily nailed it, aside from Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's one thing seeing, the hands-on videos and stuff that have come out, but it's going to be another thing actually getting our hands as general people on the game and really getting a vibe and a feel for how it's going to play rather than just how it looks. Bar none, I want Final Fantasy XVI to be a game that hooks me straight away with emotional attachment and great character development. I want characters that come from struggled backgrounds. I want characters that learn from their mistakes or those around them. The main protagonist in Final Fantasy XVI, Clive, seems to go through a bit of a traumatic event in the exposition of the game, and having a scarring event that could cause him to grow and become maybe jaded over time, maybe wary of protecting others or associating with other people, that seems interesting to me. And he doesn't seem to be your typical moody ellipsis boy like Squall. It just seems to be more of a real and kind of relatable story or character development in Clive, at least based on what I've seen. Of course, with good characters, it's going to be aided by the voice cast, so let's hope that everybody voicing these characters has brought their A game, because there is a lot at stake at voicing a Final Fantasy character, believe me. Now, I don't feel like we've had any real great standout music tracks in the Final Fantasy series since Final Fantasy X. Feel free to disagree, but I really don't remember anything memorable since To Xanarkand. I just feel like Final Fantasy hasn't really found its footing over the last 20 years in terms of mainline games. Now, personally, I didn't really like 12. 13, I didn't really enjoy. 15 was okay. 11 and 14, I haven't really played because I'm not into MMOs, so I can't speak to those. But I just want some really great, memorable tracks that even listening outside of the game makes me think, damn, that was a good game. Graphics are looking good so far. I mean, I'm not a graphics snob by any means, but I've been raving about Legend of Dragoon lately, and that game still looks good to me 23 years later. So whatever we get, I'm sure I'll like, and 100% sure that people will complain about pretty much everything. I'm sure there's going to be comments about lifeless character models. I mean, you name it. Everybody out there is just going to be upset by something. It's to be expected. It's not too much to be expecting a lot of visual wow with, awesome particle effects or overall visual prowess. It is a PS5 game after all, and to me, this is the very first killer app must-have title on the PS5 now, almost 3 years after the launch of the system. So it's not too much to ask for. Great character development, good music, a emotionally attaching story, a user-friendly but fun and possibly fast action-packed battle system. It kind of sounds like the prerequisites for a good game anyway, but bear in mind, this is Square we're talking about, okay? So we need to temper our expectations and bring them down a notch. But I'm still expecting a really great game, a great experience. Even if we get a solid 7 out of 10, thanks to IGN, I mean, that's probably going to be a 10 out of 10 masterpiece, in my opinion. So what are your expectations? What's on your wish list for Final Fantasy XVI? I'm really, really excited. I know there's going to be a hands-on demo 2 weeks out of the launch. It's supposed to be like a 35 to 40 hour game. 11 or so odd hours of in-game cutscenes that transfer seamlessly to gameplay. There's a lot at stake for this game, and it's not very often that we get a mainline title pretty much in Final Fantasy games. It's happening like once every console gen now for Sony. So I'm very excited. That's all I know. So I will be following the news along pretty much just as much as you or as often as you. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment down below. Again, I reply to everything. I read all your comments, and I love engaging with you guys and hearing your thoughts on whatever I'm talking about. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video.